Okay, we're back. It's been with more deck building. It's been a few weeks. I think I put some serious effort into this. Nothing's terribly crazy. It's more standard than you think. The big issue is just like ratio wise, right? Because this deck is known. This is Ancient Warriors. This is Ancient Warriors, as you can see, by Masterful Sun Mao, right? So it's a going second deck. It has been built to go second from like its inception, right? That's all it does. But it's like a 2-card combo going second deck where, and I was thinking, and then I was looking at some of the effects. I'm like, these are kind of crazy regardless. Like this here should leave your opponent with an empty board even when you go first. The only issue is that like they can kind of break your board and get rid of stuff so you're left with less stuff. But normally you can have a bit of follow-up with what you search and stuff like that depending how your hands open up, right? But I'm trying to think. When you don't play it this way, you can play more non-engine to break boards, but you're still pretty inherent on wanting to open 2-card combos. Because that's all you can really do. Like 2-card combos is the only really thing that you can do, unless you play like a real jank thing, and then you're normally kind of down on equipment then. And so in this format, as we know, a lot of decks are quite grind heavy, where they can, or they have a lot of recursion with what they do. Whereas when I think that this thing came out, it has received a bit of a support since it came out, which is pretty good support. I'll give it that much. It was pretty good. It seems that the whole point was break the board, and if you couldn't find game, you still had enough of a setup to do stuff on your opponent's turn, like to like stop them for their last few cards. But because we're in the current format, it's like they're getting a lot of the cards back. Like, realistically getting the cards back. So I went with going first for this because I thought the effects were kind of nuts. And then we'll talk about a couple other things as well, of why I don't play certain things or why certain things would be better in other builds. All right. So we'll start with the main deck. All right. And then, because they're all Beast Warrior, they're really cool. Like this Sun Mao dude, he's a dude, and his arm is covered in snakes. So he's a snake dude. I think that's why they're all Beast Warriors. So they've all got really weird like passives as well. So it's 3 Sun Mao. He's your starter, right? Because once again, they're all 2-card combos pretty much. But while you control the Ancient Warrior monster, your opponent's monster cannot target this card for attacks. Now, this is where I started to get a bit odd. It was just that line alone, and along with another, I think all the small level 4s have that same kind of thing of not being able to be attacked. Hang on. No, it's just this one. So there are a couple. There are a couple that can't be targeted for attacks, that can't be targeted for card effects. Which is really weird when you're trying to break boards. Like, why do you care if this thing can't be attacked if you're going second all the time? But it is just one of those like weird lingering effects, right? And you have to control at least 2 Ancient Warriors. But you can lock with this thing where they can't attack anything. But once again, we're in a format with a crap ton of removal, so it doesn't really matter. But you can lock because it's like, well, you've got another Ancient Warrior monster, your opponent can target this card for attacks. It's not name dependent, but he will. One of his effects is send 1 card from your hand or field to the graveyard, add an Ancient Warrior card from deck to your hand, except himself. And the other one is, which is what it helps break boards, but also it is interaction, which is if your other Ancient Warrior monster's effect is activated, you can target 1 monster your opponent controls return to the hand. That's pretty neato. I like that effect. So he's your starter, and then we've got. I think this guy might be a turtle. I think he might be, I don't know, he looks like he's got turtle feet. But this is Ancient Warriors Ingenious Zug Kong. So they've all got a million effects too, by the way, but they're all really name heavy. It's kind of funny. But this is a Poplar. If added by the effect of Ancient Warriors card, special summon it. That's cool. From deck to hand, those kind of back from grave. But there is no graveyard recursion in this deck at all. Once they go to the grave, they're done. When a spell trap card is activated, quick effect, send one face-up Ancient Warrior's continuous spell trap to the graveyard that you control. So, in the mirror. Negate the activation. When a monster effect is activated while you control Ancient Warrior's Virtuous Lose One, specifically, you can send one face-up Ancient Warrior's continuous spell trap, you can go over the graveyard, negate the activation, and you're going to use each of the effects once per turn. Which is really cool if you do have both. But Ancient Warrior's Luzan sucks going first. He doesn't do anything going first. So he's not in this build. We play one of Duckman. This is Graceful Zalgong. Target can use spell and trap you control. Send it to the graveyard, and if you do, Ancient Warrior monsters add one Ancient Warrior monster spell trap from your deck to your hand. If your other Ancient Warrior monster effect is activated, target one effect monster your opponent controls, negate its effects at the end phase. That's pretty cool. He's really here just as a tanky starter sometimes, where you have like a way to summon again, or like when I show you the spells, you kind of understand where these kind of combos come through. We played two of the new Savage Don Ying. He's new in effect in that he's from Dimension Force, which was like a couple of years ago, or maybe even last year. But I think this is the newest Ancient Warriors card. So, really specific again though, but while you control level 7 or higher Ancient Warriors monster, your opponent must pay 400 life points to activate a card or effect. So he's just a tax. He's a tax man. Right? If this card is normal or special, you can add a level 7 or higher Ancient Warriors or one Ancient Warrior continuous spell trap. And then if a monster is sent to the grave... If a monster is sent to your opponent's graveyard, except during the damage step, target one card in your opponent's graveyard, banish it, and if you do, draw one card. So it's like a DD Crow. Like, this is really good against the Fiendsmith stuff, where they like link off, or they get their Lacrimator Grave or something like that. Like, I don't know, even like if they discard it off of Lurry off of Tract, and you can just banish it then just stop the whole line, and you get to draw a card, that's pretty cool. So he's actually really, really interesting. It doesn't really do what the deck wants to do, but it's more interaction. It follows the theme of what I like about main deck monsters doing more things to actually interact with the board, rather than just combo off. All of the monsters Ancient Warrior monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle. This is Fearsome Zhang Wan. Cannot be destroyed by battle. At the start of the damage step, when your Ancient Warrior monster battles an opponent's face-up monster, you can special this... I can't talk. You can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, the opponent's monster loses 1,000 attacks. He's like a reverse honest, and a monster on board. But he immediately does stuff where if a card your opponent controls is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target one card your opponent controls destroy it. So you can swing, activate this in hand, summon it, they lose 1,000, it gets destroyed by a battle because your Ancient Warrior are fighting it, then it'll target and pop another card. So it's really good defensively and offensively. Like if you go first and think, alright, I've got everything I need, I'll just grab this thing, or you get open to it like that. Like I entered this in hand a lot, and it did become something that people were kind of terrified about, so they had to like kind of go kind of wonky with their thing, with their combo to kind of remove cards before battle. Because this one here would just clear the field on its own pretty much. One Valiant Zhang Di gains 300 attack for each monster. Once again, another going second card, but he's also a quick special summon of, if you control two or more Ancient Warrior monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. He's a 7, which means you normally would get him off Don Zing, Savage Don Ying, and then summon him so you've got the level 7 on board. If your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can activate this effect. This card can make up 2 attacks on monsters per turn. This one's nice. I wouldn't say he's highly necessary in this build. Maybe he's like a main deck monster that you would side out going first and maybe side in going second, much like this card here. This one here's a bit better. Loyal Guan Yun. If your opponent controls a monster, if only your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon this card from hand. And then your opponent cannot target other Ancient Warrior monsters to control with card effects. So he's really good as well, because he's over level 7, which means if you have a way of still summoning this guy out through like the continuous spells, then he also sets off the Savage Don Ying, and he stops all your other Ancient Warriors from being targeted. Right, which means they have to deal with this before they can deal with anything else. Once again, Droplet, Kaju's, anything, but It does something. It is nice. It makes people think differently. And then if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can target one monster your opponent controls, destroy it. So it's like a really good Pancratops, but it's like Ancient Warrior specific in the sense of it's not even Ancient Warrior specific. You can just do it. Now you play this in any deck going second, and then he's 2,500. You can play him in like Regenesis if you wanted to, like for like going second, so you can just summon him. Pop something, he stays on board, and then you can keep summoning your Genesis stuff. So I think this thing here is more generic than you think, and I think he should be played in more decks as like a going second thing. He's really good. I sided in 2 more of them going second, and then one Rebellious Blue Fang. This one here's a little hard. He's also just a free special. I use him a lot of the times to go into Moon. So if you control the highest attacking Ancient Warrior on the field, you can summon him from hand. He is a quick effect. Pop the highest monster in your opponent's field, but you are locked into Ancient Warrior monster effects for the turn. So I very rarely got that off unless I opened no other cards. Like if I opened hand traps and stuff, I would not go through this dude. Once again, better for a pure build, but he is just a good summon to go into Moon or go into the Ancient Warriors Link 2 to kind of get follow-up and have more interaction and stuff like that. And then during the end phase, if your opponent controls a monster with higher attack than any of your stuff, he goes to their side. That's why he's rebellious. He's a prick. So that's the Ancient Warrior lineup. So it's 3, 6, 9. It's 12 monsters, which is pretty good, I think, for like a core with some spells in there that are revolved around them as well. But then we do the Fiendsmith stuff. It's 3, 1, 1. Of course. So the reason why is that I'm just kind of coming to the conclusion that if you want your rogue stuff to kind of go off, you need to start playing the good stuff, right? You need to play the good stuff to get through it. And the reason why this is in here, it's really for Caesar. Because this deck will lose to Nib. You have no way of getting around Nib unless you're playing Luzon, and you get Luzon and old mate Zugong, right? Then you get a monster negate in rotation, but by that point you're not doing anything, if that makes sense. Like if you're normal summoning Luzon, you're not getting to anything else. Like he just doesn't work the way. I'll tell you why. It's he's in here somewhere. I'll tell you why he's useless. Here. Luzon, really good for going second. So in a pure build where you go second, this guy would be a 3-0, but going first he does nothing. So while you control the Ancient Warrior monster, your opponent monster cannot target this card for attack. So here's the other one, like this this Snake Boy, right? This guy's a dragon, I think. Yeah, he's a dragon boy. Alright, so if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can send one card from your hand or foot of the graveyard, special summon one Ancient Warrior monster from your deck. Really good. It's a really good effect. Your opponent's not going to control more monsters than you when you're going first. When an attack is declared involving another Ancient Warrior monster, you can draw 1 card. He's not a bad card, and then he gives this guy more effects. He's fine. Going first, though, does nothing. Maybe he's a sideable option. But at the same time, how many Ancient Warrior cards do you really want to side? In the sense of, maybe you do just side a bunch of Ancient Warrior cards so you can get rid of the entire Fiendsmith lineup. But the Fiendsmith lineup is also just a bit too good at breaking boards. But realistically, this is for Caesar, just so you don't die to Nib. Because, see, with cross out at 1, you're not protecting yourself from Nib. This is what a lot of rogue decks need to realize. If you don't want to play the full Fiendsmith stuff and you just want to get yourself to a Caesar, you can do that with like a Moon, 1 Engraver, 1 Lacrima, and the Requiem and Necroquip. Like those 5 cards, I think it is, across the main and the extra, are all you need to give yourself Nib protection. Just do it. I think this is good because you can get Desiree. Fiendsmith Paradise is really good. This deck doesn't play it plays under Foolos really well. It plays under Meows completely. Nothing comes back, and but doesn't play under Perulia very well. So sometimes if they Perulia you can just do the Fiendsmith stuff and still get in on a pretty good board. And if they Foolos you, the Ancient Warrior stuff can just all summon from hand and you're fine. Yeah, you die to both. But in cases where you've been forward and you got a couple hand traps, ending on like the Lacrima with the Fiendsmith in Paradise in graveyard, that's enough to get you through to another turn so you can start going again. Like, a lot of rogue decks don't have the ability to play under these draw cards very well, so give yourself the chance to. I'll talk about that more in a second. But 3-4, so hand trap, 3-4, 2 Perulia, 2 Ash because we're playing so many Perulias, like Molchami, so it's like I don't want to draw more than 1 Ash at a turn. 3 Droll, because that doesn't matter, and 2 Nib. Once again, level the playing field, right? If the good decks are playing it, then just play it, because you're already, like, I know that rogue decks do really cool stuff. That's why I play them. I think they're fine, right? But they do need that little bit of a leg up, because unfortunately, they're not going to get the broken support that you want, or that it needs to be hyper playable in the format. So play these generic engines, and I'll talk about this in a second as well with what else you could kind of do with the deck, if you don't care so much about Nib. But spells, well, the 3-5 formation Tenki, this is your level 4 Beast Warrior Search. This here works with the Duck one really well, because you'd go like, it depends on your hand of course, but you'd go like this to add the Duck, normal, or if you already opened the Duck, you can like add something else, normal the Duck, send this, and then add the other continuous spells and stuff. So it's still your search anyway. Like 9 times out of 10, you're searching your standard level 4 Snake Boy, right, for your things, because you normally have everything else that you need. But there are certain situations where that Duck one does come up really, really well to get you into your other Ancient Warrior continuous ones. Like 3 visits. During main phase, if you're normal or special, you target one of those monsters, add an Ancient Warrior with a different name from your deck to your hand. It's like the bug one, the wasp wind or whatever, which is cool. And then if it's sent to the graveyard, if it's sent from the film trap cards into the graveyard, special summon Ancient Warrior monster from your hand. So the level 4 Snake Boy, you got this, you got normal, this target, add whatever you want, and summon again, depending on what you add. And then you can Snake Boy send this to add any of the Ancient Warriors that you want. Then this will summon what you've just added, if that's what you want to add, or what you want to summon. But that's how like you get Don Yin to the board without having to tribute and stuff like that, because you would use the normal summon Snake, sending this to add Don Yin summons, and you add again. And then you'd have like your ability to like tax, or go into Moon if you haven't opened the Fiendsmith stuff, or go into Double Dragon Lords if you really want to. I think Double Dragon Lords, the Oath, is really good for going second stuff, but sometimes like ending on him is just better to play under certain things. 3 of the Deception and Betrayal. You can side this out to 1 going second, I think, but going first, just to get bodies on board, because once again, if stuff gets stopped, you need that extension. Go into Dragon Lords, go into Moon, and then go that way. So during main phase, special summon 1 Ancient Warrior monster from your hand, and if you do take damage equal to its level times 100, it's weird that it's take damage, but whatever. And then you can send this face-up card from your spell and trap card into the graveyard, target 1 Ancient Warrior monster on the field, change it to any attribute, then you target an opponent's monster, you take control of it. So this here gets you back your Rebellious Lu Fang. Never comes up. Should never come up, right? But the Double Dragon Lords does require a Wind Ancient Warrior, and there are only 2 winds, I think, in the deck, which is the Virtuous Lose 1, which we don't play, and Zug Kong, the popular one. He's a wind. So in cases where you don't open up a wind, this can change it to a wind. You can still go Double Dragon Lords if you need to. 2 tracked, you need 2, 1 for the grind game. Arguably, I think that this could go to 1 and you can play a Saint. So you can, because there are times where you, like, if you want to bait out a Droll or an Ash with an Engraver and you've already got a tracked in hand, like even just adding a Saint on top of this, like 2 tracked, 1 Saint, it means you can add Saint instead of tracked. They draw you, and you've still got full Fiendsmith combo, which is nice. 1 called by, 3 Imperm, and then the Fiendsmith in Paradise. I got that board wipe effect off. I opened this card too many times. I opened too many one-offs way too often. This is 45 cards, I think. Maybe 44, because I did take 1 out because it just wasn't doing what I wanted to do. It just didn't come up as necessary. Then the extra, 2 of the Double Dragon Lords. He adds an Ancient Warrior card on summon. Requires the 2 Beast Warrior monsters, including a Winged Ancient Warrior. Hyper specific. But all Ancient Warrior monsters gain 500 attack and defense. Really good for the OTK stuff, hence why I think he's better going second, but sometimes he's really good for interaction. So this card got cheated out in Tri-Brigade Sprite. He adds any Ancient Warrior card from deck to hand. on Link Summon, and then quick effect, you can send one card from your hand to fill the graveyard, target one face up about your opponent control, return it to the hand. So you can, in most boards, you can get like 2 bounces, a DD Crow, and a Spell Trap negate, along with like a Caesar. So pretty good. And then the Link 2s are Sequence, Moon, Nightmare, or Phoenix. Lunite, this never came up. Agnumde, Requiem. Agnumde is fantastic. Ending on, like, going Agnumde and ending on like a Desiree with 5 links attached to it is crazy. And then making him like 5800. Like, this making Desiree so big is the reason why I won a couple of games, just because they couldn't beat over this. And then they couldn't attack like my other stuff. They had to like kind of work stuff around. So I was still ending on like Omni negates. Yeah, most of the time. It was really funny. Caesar, he's the reason why we play the Fiendsmith stuff, really. It's just that because this deck doesn't require a whole lot of extra deck summons, because the main deck stuff does so much, you may as well play the full Fiendsmith stuff. One Typhon. I've been toying with this, playing it more offensively and less defensively. Or maybe more defensively would be actually the wording here. So going second, not being able to win that turn, breaking the board, and then just slapping this down on top of the biggest thing that I have, because it shouldn't matter anymore. And then they're locked out of stuff over 3k, so they have to get to it and not use it and like wipe half your board with whatever they've got. They've got to beat over this thing first and then do their stuff, which normally stops a lot of like on summon effects. So like, yeah, using this more, I guess it is defensively, right? So yeah, more defensively, where like you build your board, or you're like going second or turn 3, you have it won, they're down a bit, you slap this on top of your big guy, you've still got all your other little ancient warriors that can bounce and all this kind of stuff. And then Typhon just stops them from really getting big bodies out and stopping the bodies from doing anything on board, where then they have to go to battle and then start doing stuff. Okay, so Jewel, this came out a lot. Because the whole Fiendsmith line of like attaching Requiem to Engraver, sending one with the Engraver, and then going into this to banish one as well. And then it's 3,500, so it's absolutely massive. Like, the Fiendsmith stuff really lowers the issue of Ancient Warriors not being able to OTK. But I will say I did OTK with Ancient Warriors pure a fair few times. Necroquip, this has no application. This is just for Caesar, And then, once again, if you can get to this because you've opened a tract and you can do Engraver in hand and you get another draw off of it, very, very handy. Very, very handy, where you just like power this out first. Like what? You do like Tract for Lurry, and you've got Engraver and Tract, you got Tract for Lurry, go into Requiem, summon out Lacrima, send Engraver, equip the Requiem to the Lacrima, make this, then send Engraver for another Tract or for a Saint. And then this will get you to draw a card. 2 Fiendsmith Desirees, one for the Fiendsmith of Paradise and one so I can end on it. There were too many times in other builds where I really wanted 2, because I opened the Fiendsmith in Paradise and didn't have the ability to shuffle the stupid thing back, because I didn't have enough names to make Desiree and continue, because I opened Paradise. So it's like, alright, I'm just going to make a Desiree, set the Paradise, and then equip like Sequence to it, and that's what I was ending on. But that's still a board, that's still like a negate and a board wipe. But then from that point, unless you open Tract or another Engraver, you weren't getting the Desiree back into the deck, which kind of sucked. Doom Dragon, because you put stuff in the back row. Like, there were times where I used Desirees like going second or going first, or like trying to go for gaming turn 3, where you use Desiree's negates to stop the board of what they're doing, like when they're trying to interact with you with what they do have. And you've got Numde and Sequence equipped, and then you just use both of those to make this, and then push something back, and then just swing for, that would be 58 right there. And that's pretty neato. I really like Doom Dragon with the Fiendsmith stuff, just because it doesn't come up all the time, but when you're going for game, and you just need to like remove a body instead of trying to beat over a body, it's very, very nice. And then the side stuff, 1 talents, 1 harpies, 2 droplet, the 6 Perulia, or the 6 Molchami. Should probably just main all 6, but it's whatever, right? 2 Gamma Seals, because these work really well with the whole return effect of the Ancient Warrior cards. So you can kaiju something normal, then do the effect like normal, add the Poplar one, summon it, then Snake Man bounces this back, and then you can kaiju again. And that's pretty neat. 2 more of the Loyal Guanyan, because you want to open him going second. Because it forces out interaction. And the summon isn't once per turn. So, yeah, the summon isn't once per turn. So you can, activate it. They can try and negate it. If they don't destroy it, you just do it again. The only thing that's a once per turn is the popping. You can only use this effect of Ancient Warriors Loyal Guan once per turn. So, yeah, so his summon is a once per turn. 3 Judgments, because we need to we need to not die to board breakers, which the deck doesn't really die to board breakers, but stuff like Talents and Harpies are still a bit of a prick. Even Lightning Storm, because you do normal summon a fair bit, or you end on links. And Lightning Storm kind of get you. Judgment's still good. And then I'm really liking the 3 Trickstar Reincarnation. Just the concept of them adding their one-offs and then you just banishing all their one-offs because they, and then they open up a new hand and they're like, well, I don't have any of my targets anymore. And you're like, you're damn right you don't have any more of your targets. So I think this will be really good with the Snake Eye Resurgence because, Poplar's down to, is it 2? There's no OSS, so you can really, get rid of some of this stuff. But yeah, that's the idea for the deck. This here, I think, is probably the best list I went through for a going first build. The going second stuff is just already kind of solved. It's just a bunch of kaijus, really. So the cards I'll talk about is realistically, going second, you can do whatever you want going second. Loyal Guanyan would be at 3. You probably play the other, the special summon dude at 2. You play this guy at lose 1 at 3, just because your opponent will always have monsters on board. And then even this dude here is not too bad going second. I tried to make him go first, but I never needed him. I never ever needed him, and then when I opened him, he sucked. Because there was a previous build I tried to do in theory, where I wanted to play this guy, and because I had the other guy, and this guy's pretty easy to summon, so it's just if a card your opponent draws to draw my battle card effect, someone on the card from your hand or through the graveyard, so someone's card from your hand. So it's a bit hand neggy or like economy negged, but there was a line that I had done, the very first build I did of this, which I never ended up playing because it was dumb. Because I just went the Fiendsmith stuff instead. Because I was thinking of a different way of playing this stuff going second. And I ran the Zealantis line because he's a fire. And you have a couple of fires, but unfortunately the other fire that you have, he only comes out when the battle's already started. So that kind of sucked. And so, I couldn't really work in... Yeah, this guy. I couldn't really work in the line as often as I wanted to. But when you're playing this deck, it pretty much does it on its own. It'd be more of you did a whole bunch of stuff with the Ancient Warriors, could still hopefully end on 2 bodies on board, make Heater take their Ash or whatever they've got, and then just run the Zealantis line. Which it can happen, but it's not this imperative thing where you're like whatever. But yeah, going first was fun. So I think this is a list that I think people should try. I actually really like this list a lot. I think most of my losses that I did have weren't the deck's fault; they were my fault with decision making. I did lose one game to. I lost to Droll twice because my hand was just a builder hand, which just happens sometimes. It's I had all my cards that search other cards and couldn't end on anything. So it was Tenki, Tracked, or Engraver. It was Engraver, Tracked, Tenki. It's that just dies to Droll, right? And Ash Blossom. And I lost another one to a Ubel player because he full lost me, then drolled himself. So I added and he drolled me and he couldn't add off of the full loss anymore. I'm alright, whatever. I'm going to draw, I can keep going. And the thought that going into Moon to play Fiendsmith was the wrong idea because he then ashed the Requiem and then had his starter was insane to me. I'm that shouldn't happen very often. But most of my other losses were down to me making mistakes on game states, and in any other world I was winning them. Like, not to talk myself up too much, but I was in a commanding lead, and because I just like overlooked the fact that Lacrima didn't have a Requiem engrave, so therefore Fiendsmith in Paradise wasn't an issue for me, I could have gone for game against that guy. Or thinking that I had game with really, really big Desiree, before realizing that Requiem had to go back into the extra deck. So therefore I didn't have really, really big Desiree anymore. I only had like 5,800. So that left him with 300 life points. When if I just played slightly smarter, realized I didn't have game because I had to put the Requiem back, I could have just broken apart the entire board, left him on nothing, and still had a 5,800 Desiree with the 5 negates, with him having like 2 cards in hand. So those were my losses. Any other time that I won were pretty well fought. I did lose to a Melodious player, but Orange Light is a hell of a card. And I did take a round off him anyway. I took a game off him anyway. That was for like a final. Like I was 2-0 going into the final round, and then I got Herald the Orange Light. Oh, like he played well. He Orange Lighted at the right time, definitely. But still, it's like once the monsters are removed, it's just kind of what do you do, right? And then he just like normal summons Refrain and go. And then from that point, I just didn't really have. It's just too much interaction with nothing left. Because like I said, these Ancient Warrior cards don't come back. And if your Fiendsmith stuff gets stopped, then you've also lost your own grind game as well, which just happens sometimes. But honestly, I think it played really, really well. I do not see myself not coming back to this at some point. As in, like, I feel like I will probably play this again, especially if it gets support. If you get some cool support. I also want to try like the pure going second build. But like I said, that deck's already solved. That deck's pretty much done. It's Kaijus and Board Breakers. And like I think realistically, any deck can play going second. You just have to learn how to play through a board. And that's it. I think that's the list. I liked it a lot. You let me know your thoughts in the comments, and hopefully we're not going to be too far off on the next one. Because I just wanted to, I just had new ideas with this and just thought I could play better. And then I did. I did play better in a couple of locals, and it proved my point for me that the list was pretty good. And then your side is your side. You can do whatever you want. You decide. But yes, I shall leave it there, and I shall see you guys next time. Take it easy. Also, just quickly, I forgot to talk about this, but the other thing that I mentioned, the fact that you could do it, right? I'm like, ooh, I took down my phone, but I just completely forgot. But the other engines that you can play are all fine as well. I wouldn't play the Kashtira stuff in this because it conflicts with a couple of cards, and then within itself, and there's no real recursion. Like, you're not making the deck any better by adding Kashtira stuff, other than, like, say, Unicorn, because you want to rip out the extra, but even then, it's not worth it. The one that I did think that you could do, though, would be because you've got a bunch of level 4s in this, right? Like, you're always pretty much guaranteed to have 2 level 4s. So you can go the Mitsurugi stuff, right? So you can end in, like, Feral Imp, then add the Searcher one for it, go full Mitsurugi combo. The only issue with that is that it doesn't really play under Nib very well. Like, I mean, look, you can stand there and go, well, they got to activate Nib when you've got the big dude on board. So you make them neg 2 cards because they neg the Nib and they neg a card in hand to activate the Nib, right? Or the Nib just goes away, right? And then if it gets tributed, the Mitsurugi thing comes back. So to increase the power level, you can just get rid of the Fiendsmith stuff, because that's, 3 Engraver, a Lacrima, a Lurry, 2 Tracked, potentially a Saint, and then like half your extra, really, right? And then add in, I think it's 9 cards is all that's needed, and a Feral Imps in the extra. If that's the way you want it to go as well, I think that would be a pretty cool build. That would be something I'd try in the future. It's just that I think it dies a bit too hard to Nib, but at the same time, it's like it's playable, right? It's like instead of going into Moon, you go into Feral Imps instead and do that. But yeah.